Alright, welcome back to another TouchDesigner tutorial. And in this one we're going to look at image instancing, or turning a 2D texture image into a 3D space, converting it from 2D to 3D. And before I start, I want to just preface this by saying this could also, of course, be achieved by using height maps and a with like a Phong or a PBR. But in this case, we're using a different, like a very different approach with instancing and instancing tops. So this is actually super powerful because in a way, this is sort of like you're creating a particle system based on images or textures. So right now, I'm just using like an image here. So it's just this image of the Earth I've used before, and you can also, of course, just use a different image. So just gonna like use this one, and you can easily change the height and sort of strength of these particles in a way, and also like their height, which so not just the position but also the height. And yeah, I really like the way this looks, and you can maybe see how powerful this is because it's all done in tops. The thing is, as you can see here, this is actually not running super smoothly for me. There are some things you can definitely leave away on the post-processing here, which are like kind of draining the power, but I also noticed I have a really shitty GPU. You can also go down with the number of instances, and then it's running pretty smoothly. So, but you also get these kind of weird moire effects. So, even more so if you go down with the anti-aliasing. Yes, that's how it's called. All right, so let us begin. Actually, before. I'm going to also show you how to do this with a little feedback system. So actually, let me not do that, but put that here. So you can do it this way, or use an emboss to really make some interesting 3D looking stuff here. Yeah, cool. Let's start. I'm going to delete all of this as always, and we're gonna build everything from scratch. All right, so we are going to start with a constant chop. We're just going to use this to set the resolution. Let's just call this res. So like the number of instances pretty much. So let's just put this to like 500 because that's what I used before. And let's just add a null here, Alt-N. Yeah. What we're gonna do now is, start with the whole like rendering network before we set up the actual instancing. So yeah, so we can instantly kind of see what's going on. So I'm gonna start with a box SOP. Not change anything about that. Just turn on off the display and add a transform SOP to that. Let's go down with the scale to 0.015. It's like a nice scale, I found out. And add a geo to this. All right. So on the geo, we're going to animate this later, and we can already turn instancing on, and we don't really need to do much else. So nothing else. Let's add a camera here as well. We're going to change the position once we see the actual grid. What I am going to do is just sort of change the. We'll see about this later. And I'm also going to add a light and just leave it the way it is. Now I can actually just maybe already go down, up like this. So we'll play around with this and add a render top to actually render this. And I want this to be, 1080 by 1080. And maybe like 16-bit. Let's see what makes sense. I also want to change the anti-alias to 16 high. So if you have a good GPU, you can go to 32. I do not. We're going to add some effects here. I'm just going to like add this, and then we're going to get back to this later. I'm going to use an RGB key. This is just a short way to make the background black, and add a null here as well. I'm going to copy G as always and turn the display on. So now we see a beautiful black square in the background. Alright, so this is pretty much the render setup. We're going to come back here soon. Alright, so I'm going to add a ramp here and change this to RGB and just go down with these. So we're just going from black to red. Really nice gradient there. And just copy and paste this, change this to vertical, and just make this green instead of red. So what these are is an X position value and a Y position value, and this is just going from 0 to 1. And now I'm just going to add a math, and to actually change this, we want to go into minus now, but with our pixel format that we have right now, which is 8-bit, this is actually not possible. So what we need to change this to 32-bit float on both of these. And now we can go into minus. So I want to go into -5 and 5. So this is like mapped, like the position is mapped from -5 to 5. Just copy and paste this and put that in here as well. All right, so let's use a reorder to so that this is sort of like a merge in chops. So here you can like, you know, an image or texture always has like these 4 values, RGBA. Or just RGB, and this is what we have here. Like we have 4 inputs, and we can map these inputs to these values. So I'm just using red and green here, and so I want to map these as well. So I can just use input 2 for green, and I can already set input 3 to blue and input 4 to alpha. This is exactly what we want to have. Okay. So now I can just add a null here and call this pause for position. And now we can put that in here. And we can now just use R here and G on the Z. On the Z transformation. Okay, now what we can do is change our camera to have a nice look on the grid, and we can also change our light. Let's actually make this a cone light. So we just have this because I mean we can just look at this grid first, but later we might want to not have these weird edges, or so that it's so obvious that we're just using a grid. So it's really nice to just use a cone light and to sort of just make this bigger, and then you can't see the edges and it just looks like it's infinite, or you can imagine that it's just infinite. We can come back to this. Okay, so now we're just looking at this grid, and you might be thinking, what the heck, like I could easily do this with just sub instancing. You could of course just use a grid and then convert that to chops and then to tops, but I kind of like to just work in tops now. What is also important, what I totally forgot, is on both of these we want to use this resolution, because we want to use the same resolution everywhere. So yeah, I guess we can even like go a bit down with this, and then we can also go down with this, and then maybe it's a bit faster. So it's all just kind of a trial and error kind of thing, you know. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm going to add a movie file in now, so we can add our image. And I'm going to just add this some kind of image here that I had. You can use any image really. And I'm going to add a fit to this. And this fit, I'm going to I want this to be the same resolution as this grid as well, so that you can just use our res up here. And I also want this to fit outside, so the whole image is filled. And yeah, now I can use any resolution here, and it's always going to be output in a way that we can use it. All right, so we're going to add more stuff here. I'm just going to add a null here, which is sort of the breaking point from where we're going to use different sort of channels. So you can, might just want to call this hub for whatever reason. And let's add a math here and another math here. Whoa, I just that was my microphone falling down. All right, so what we can also do is just turn the display off for all of these and color these, which I think is super fun. Maybe these. So let's make this one red, but just press C to toggle this. And this one is green. This one is going to be blue, and this is our alpha channel, which I'm just going to make gray, because alpha is totally gray. So let's put these all in there, and you can already see our structure in there. And our this weird like sort of rectangular shape in here is just our mapping. We're just kind of shifting the whole thing. These are like minus values, so might be confused, but that's totally okay. It's nice to be confused sometimes. Or like okay, not nice. Anyways, so let's remap this. So before we remap this, let's look at what it looks right now. Looks like right now. I can't speak. Okay, so yeah, if I just use this B on on the Y translation, then you can see some stuff is happening, which is cool, right? But you can see you can't really see much, so we can go down here with the strength to like 0.2, and now we can actually see more of the structure. And what we can also do is to use the alpha channel for the scale, and maybe make this like, oops, why is nothing happening again? All right, don't set this to alpha, set this to luminance. And there's still not much happening here. And I don't know why I had this problem before. Right, maybe I need to, yeah, I probably need to set this to 32-bit float as well. Yeah. So set this fit also to 32-bit float. That's important. And yeah, as you can see, this becomes very slow. If you like go up too high with the size of these boxes. So I think it makes more sense to just leave them the way they are and just sort of change their position. So yeah. Okay, so this still doesn't really look like what I showed you. Let's before we continue, let's actually animate this so it's slightly rotating. So we're going to the geo here on the rotate Y. We're going to type in abs time dot seconds times like point. I want to use frame. Seconds is way too slow. So times like 0.2 maybe. Oh, too fast. 1. 0.05. Something like that. So now it's like slowly rotating, which is nice. And yeah, what we want to do now is use the colors of this as well to really make this look a bit more dynamic, I guess. So let's add a math top here, and let's change the range. Not for now. Let's not change that for now. Let's just call this col for color, and go to the instance 2 page of our geo and drag this in here. And now just say RGB and A as well, which doesn't really make a difference here. But yeah, now you can see this really looks different instantly. which is nice. It actually really looks like an image. And now what we can do, we can now go and change our light type to cone light, and maybe go down with we can change the roll off to something higher, I guess, and this a bit lower, maybe go nearer a bit. So yeah, there we go. And now you might want to change this to like something a bit higher, so it's like brighter. So here you can change the brightness. Yeah, cool. This works well. So yeah, right now we're just using this image. I now want to show you some more interesting stuff. You could, of course, just use the video device in, so your webcam, which is currently there. I have a sticker in front of that. But technically, you can also use that. So yeah, now I'm gonna just show you a simple but cool reaction diffusion sketch. Nope, not yet. There's some stuff I want to do before that. One thing is the luma blur. So it's showing an arrow. We're gonna need some kind of input here, so I'm gonna use a ramp, and I want this ramp to be vertical. No, I don't. Yeah, I do want this to be vertical. Put this in the center, somewhere around the center. Make this black, and make this one, this one white. And now, as you can see, we have a slight luma blur. If we increase this, it's even more. So we kind of have this tilt shift effect, which is super cool. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so now to the reaction diffusion sketch. Let's, as we usually do with this kind of stuff, start with a noise. And change this to, let's also use the resolution of this. So we're like always in with like this master resolution. Let's also change this to 32-bit float. And increase the period a bit, and everything else can just sort of stay this way. We can just animate this a bit. Not in here. In here. Fuck. ABS time dot seconds times like 0.1. Let's add a null here. It's always good. Let's use a feedback, and we always want to have a keyboard in for this. I always want to have. I don't want to push this button manually. And chop reference this on there. And now we're going to use a couple of blurs. So this is similar to my reaction diffusion material, but with a slope added and some displacement, and that just makes it a bit more interesting. Alright, so let's put this to like 20. Let's use a composite here and another blur, and put that underneath that, and now change this to subtract. Now let's add another blur, not a blur, and let's add a level as well. And now we want to displace this. We want to add a slope to our null here, and use this as the second input. And now I want to change some things here. The first thing is we don't want to have such a strong displacement, so we just go down to like 0.2. We want to go up with this to 2, 2.5, and 2. And the slope we want to change to like 6. And now we can drag this onto the feedback, and this totally doesn't look the way I had it before, which is always really nice. Yeah, what the heck? Okay, 1 second. So one thing is that I had this on 10. Oh yeah, that really makes a difference. Okay. Sorry for that. So what we can do now, before I actually insert this in here, what I can show you is the emboss, which is actually a very nice trick for this, especially if you're not really using images or if you don't want to use the colors, even though you can actually change the colors. What the emboss is pretty much doing is sort of creating this 3D texture in here, but you can what's like important for us now is that it's like creating shadows, and yeah, as you can see, it's sort of making shadows here. So you can use these shadows on this 3D instanced stuff, and yeah, I really like the effect it has. So just play around with that, and now what we can do, we can put that in here. Like without that, it looks non-existent for whatever reason. I don't know why. And with the emboss, you can really make some interesting 3D-ish textures, and you can make this really strong, which doesn't make any sense. But yeah, you can sort of do like this, and you can change the direction of it, which is super cool. You can also check this out with this one. So you have these really differently looking things. What you can also do is just use this as colors and change the direction on that. Yeah, there's many things you can do with this. So what we can also do is composite that in here, and just put it to difference, and maybe use the colors of the first one, and now you have some interesting movement in this image. I might want to use a different image just to see what's going on here, what's different. Yeah, I'm just talking a lot of weird stuff today. So anyways, you can of course just use the sketch without all this stuff around it, but you know, this video is really about instancing this, and because that is so you can also use of course like all these other parameters, so you can also scale stuff based on, yeah, this totally worked well, on other parameters. You can also create more of these sort of maps here, and you can decrease the number of these, and then you always need to like reset the feedback in there, and you could increase the size of these, so you get this sort of effect, which I also really like. So let's look at a different picture, this one. So yeah, this is also super cool. This doesn't work too well when it's animated. Let's actually look at, oh, it actually works super well when it's animated. So yeah, this is also really nice. As you can see, there's sort of overlapping, which is alright, I guess. You can also now use this as size, so alright, I think that's about it as far as I know. I'm gonna look in my notes here. You can use any kind of input. That's what I said. What's also always nice is to, like I showed that in another video, is to use this grain effects on this this component we built in a video, and to maybe just turn these off and oops, these off, and now you can sort of, now you have this grain on there, which always looks a bit nicer. Maybe go down with the brightness here. Yeah, so really have fun with this. You can also not just use a ramp for X and Y, of course. You can also use other maps for X and Y. As I said, you could also convert a SOP into a top via chops, and then use a sphere, for example. And I'm going to actually make a video for patrons, which is kind of dealing with that. Yeah, if you want to support me, become a patron. If you want to hear me babble while doing creative stuff, then become a patron. I'm very grateful for all the people that are already supporting me. And yeah, I haven't been super active lately. There's a lot happening emotionally, and I've moved and everything's kind of a mess. But it's getting better now, and I can really start producing stuff again. And I'm also gonna get a new PC now, and yeah, exciting stuff gonna happen, I hope. Alright, so this is a longer video, and yeah, I see you on the next one.